प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं।
ध्यान करते हैं ना, ध्यान है. That means you don't have to meditate. Meditate will done. When the mind gets purified, automatically when you don't have when you have something to do, the mind will be focused on that. You have nothing to do, the mind will be silent. And also you don't need the silence. When the mind becomes so lovable, comfortable for you, why do you look for no thoughts? The thoughts are so good, so enriching, so fulfilling, that you will never think of getting rid of the thoughts. Because now the thoughts are not enriching to you, they are not comfortable. You are looking for a thoughtless state. When the thoughts become enriching, comfortable, noble, then you will not look for the silence. Now still, if you want silence, then Patanjali Yoga Darshana, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they have given 3 very prominent steps towards it. Because the mind has to be silent there. So how to attain the silence? He says, the first step is Sukha Asanam. Sukha Asanam. That means you have to sit comfortably. Whether you sit or lie, if you can lie also, but you should not fall asleep. You have to sit comfortably, whether it is on Padmasana or Bhadrasana or on a chair, because primary purpose is to forget the body. Suppose you sit very straight in an asana and your back pains or neck pains and your mind is always focused on the body, then naturally you will not be able to forget the body. The mind will not become silent. So Sukhasana is necessary for forgetting the body. The second is called Prayatna Shaithilya. Prayatna Shaithilya. Prayatna means effort. Prayatna means effort. Shaithilya means loose. That means relaxed. Prayatna Shaithilya means effortlessness. Effortlessness. That means when your body is effortless also, the mind is still effortful. For example, in most of the cases when you are sitting for meditation, I am going to meditate now. That itself is a great effort. Whether the mind is going to silence, is it going, is it not going, is it the self, is it not, constantly the buddhi is effortful. So it is not only the mind, the buddhi also remains effortful. So effortlessness means completely relaxed. Let go. Let go. Whatever comes to your mind, holding your mind, making you effortful, do the japa of the mantra, let go. Let go means just relax, relax, relax. If you get up from meditation and find that you have become more stressful, then it is opposite. The test of meditation is after the meditation you should feel very relaxed and not like a soldier who has got defeated in half an hour fight. So the second one is Prayatna Shaithilya. The third one is called Ananda Samapatti. Samyakapatti. That means very well you have to induce in yourself Ananda, the infinitude. That means the mind has to expand. Normally the mind is constricted by our own desireful thoughts and all, it remains with the body, mind remains with the body and our own wants and preferences, prejudices. That mind you can bring in. How will you make the mind infinite? Think of the infinitude, think of the space, think of the sky, think of the space, and then don't think anything also. In Bhagavatam it is said like that. First you fix your mind on Vishnu's feet or the Vishnu's body. Then you think of the smiling face of Vishnu. So you think of the smiling face of Vishnu. So when you think, meditate on the smiling face of Vishnu, what will happen to you? Your mind will, your face also will become smiling. So all the tension, stress you are having, that will be released. You will become smiling, prasanna. Then from that smile, you think of the sky, infinitude. Then, further, don't think anything. So the mind becomes silent. करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है। तो 18वें अध्याय के अंत या क्या लिखे हैं? अंत में भगवान कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को महात्मा कहकर क्यों संबोधित किया है, जबकि अर्जुन योद्धा थे? कहाँ पे महात्मा बोले हैं? श्लोका नंबर बताइए, श्लोका नंबर बताइए।
संजय ने कहा 74। संजय ने कहा 34।
आप श्लोका बताइए ना कितना है? 74। कहाँ उनको महात्मनः, इट इज षष्ठी विभक्ति। महात्मनः वासुदेवस्य पार्थ, वासुदेव को महात्मा बताया गया है। See, if they have called Arjuna Mahatma, I will explain why he has called Mahatma. But he has not called Arjuna Mahatma. How can he explain how he called Mahatma? कुछ भी बोलेंगे तो हम उसको एक्सप्लेन कर देंगे, वो दूसरी बात है। लेकिन यहाँ महात्मना षष्ठी विभक्ति है वासुदेवस्य के साथ, वासुदेव को महात्मा बोले हैं।
In the explanation it is Arjun who has been called Mahatma.
हाँ?
In the explanation,
कोई दिया है उनको पूछिए।
ये ट्रांसलेशन देख
नहीं, हम किसी ट्रांसलेशन नहीं देखेंगे। अहम इति महात्मनः वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च, that पार्थस्य is महात्मा वासुदेवा and पार्थ, the conversation between पार्थ and महात्मा वासुदेवा। इसमें इतना डाउट क्या है? ट्रांसलेशन गलत है। You can attach to Partha also. Suppose two persons are there, Vasudeva and Partha. Krishna and Partha दो आदमी हैं, दोनों में ही षष्ठी विभक्ति है और महात्मा में भी षष्ठी विभक्ति है। आप वासुदेव के साथ लगाएंगे या पार्थ के साथ लगाएंगे? पहले कृष्ण के साथ तो हमेशा महात्मा लगाएंगे ना, और आप नहीं तो दोनों को ही बोल सकते हैं। वासुदेव भी महात्मा है, कृष्ण भी, अर्जुन भी महात्मा है। लेकिन यहाँ वो बोला नहीं गया है महात्मना वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च। पार्थ, द कन्वर्सेशन बिटवीन अर्जुना एंड द महात्मा वासुदेवा, दिस इज द मीनिंग। आप क्यों इसके पीछे इतना दौड़ते हैं? कितना समझने का है? वो कहाँ से 18 चैप्टर में पकड़ लिया था संजय ने क्या बोला है, वो तो कृष्ण ने क्या बोला है उसके पीछे दौड़े ना, यही है गलत। पूछे हैं, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन आवर सो मच टू बी अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम भगवद गीता, हमने तो कुछ नहीं समझा इसका। जब पढ़ाते हैं तो पढ़ के उस वर्ड मीनिंग देख के सीखते हैं, लेकिन और भी हम 10 बार पढ़ेंगे तो और भी समझने का बहुत कुछ है इसमें। क्या अर्थ है सोचना पड़ता है। बट आवर फोकस शुड बी ऑन द राइट थिंग, व्हाट वी वांट। इतना कुछ कृष्ण ने बताया है। आप अगर फोकस करते हैं फर्स्ट चैप्टर में जो अर्जुन बोला है, ऐसा भी होता है, बहुत ऐसा प्रश्न मिलता है जो वो बोला है कि पूरा व्हाट इज दैट संस्कार पूरा खत्म हो जाएगा। अर्जुन जो कुछ बोले हैं फर्स्ट चैप्टर में, अरे वो तो अर्जुन बोले हैं, कृष्ण जी नहीं बोले हैं, वो समझना चाहिए। एंड यू नो शंकराचार्य हैज नॉट कमेंटेड ऑन द फर्स्ट चैप्टर because he says that Arjun in that state, it is not Arjuna's normal state. In that state, Arjuna whatever he spoke, it is only pralapa. तो पागल हो गए थे उस समय, उल्टा पुल्टा सब कुछ बताया है उसमें। That is not to be considered. You can take as a scholarly interest, that is different. But first chapter, it is Arjuna preaching Krishna and everything is wrong because Arjuna did not know the truth. He is speaking from the point of view of his moral knowledge, the dharmic niti. ठीक है? हाँ? आप नाराज हो गए क्या? चिंता है? ठीक है? कौन पूछे? ठीक है? समझ गए? फोकस सही चीज पर होना चाहिए। हम तो हमेशा बोलते हैं हम कितना पढ़ाएंगे, लेकिन हम एक चीज कम्युनिकेट करना चाहते हैं कि कैसे शास्त्र पढ़ना चाहिए। कितना पढ़ाएंगे, सब तो एक ही बात है। वो 18 चैप्टर में जो है, सेकंड चैप्टर में वही है, 12 13 चैप्टर में भी वही है, 14 चैप्टर में भी वही है, एक ही बात बोला जा रहा है। हमें खाली इतना ही कम्युनिकेट करना का, इतना ही बताने का है कि कैसे शास्त्र पढ़ना चाहिए। वो एक एक शब्द के अंदर जाके कैसे अपने मन को उद्दीपित किया जा सकता है, अपने मन को पवित्र बनाया जा सकता है। शास्त्र पाठ एक साधना है, उसको साधना बनाना चाहिए, कोई थ्योरेटिकल नॉलेज के लिए नहीं है, ये एक साधना है। तो कैसे शास्त्र पाठ को साधना बनाया जाता है, वही हमारा वो एक ही एम है। हम जो लेक्चर देते हैं उसका वो एक ही एम है कि बताना कि कैसे शास्त्र पठन को साधना बनाया जाए। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
Swamiji, you said you talk about mithya.
I can, but that will be out of this. I can. ना सतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः. That in spirituality, what is the truth? Sat means the ultimate truth. That cannot become non-existent. You can never miss it. That I have explained from other points of view, that it is the consciousness which is revealing the whole world. So in the world, everything you can miss. Now is the CIRT Vijnana Bhavan, we are missing the Viveka Bhavan. Or we are missing the factory here. Factory is not here. When you go to the factory, CIRT is not there. Anything in the world can be missed. But that is, everything is revealed by consciousness. So consciousness cannot be missed. Suppose you fall unconscious because of some accident or something in the body. There is a sudden so-called unconsciousness, we say. When you get back your awareness, then you say that for a while, you cannot say how long. For a while, I did not know anything. Is it not so? I was unconscious, I did not know anything. When I got up, I found that I am in the hospital. So there has been whether it is longer period, sometimes it is a fraction of a few seconds. But you know that you have not known anything. So, not knowing anything means there was no signal there is no object signal coming to you, registered in the brain. So this no signal state also is revealed by the consciousness. You get it? That there was no signal, I have not known anything, or it was all nil. Nothing was there. That nothingness is revealed by the consciousness. Otherwise you would not have known that nothingness also. So, this consciousness which is revealing all the objects and objective situation, external, internal, thoughts, intelligence, emotion, which is revealing everything, including the no signal state also. That is non-revelation also. Revealing the non-revelation also. That consciousness, how can you miss it? Because missing the usual awareness is also revealed by this consciousness. That is why it is called Sat. You cannot miss it any time. Sat means that is the truth. You cannot miss. It will never go anywhere. There is no question of going because it is not an object. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Na abhavaha vidyate satah. Satah abhavaha na vidyate. That is what I said. That which is sat, उसका अभाव कभी भी नहीं हो सकता है. It can never be missed. And na asatah vidyate bhavaha. That means which is asat means absolutely not there. That can never be seen. Like they are giving the example of the Shashaka Vishana, that is a khargos having horns. It is not there, so it can never be seen. That example is simple, but anything you can think of. That means absolutely not there, non-existent thing can never be seen. And the truth cannot be missed. Then what is not neither Sat nor Asat, that is called Mithya. Neither Sat means it is not always there. Not Asat means it is there sometimes. So the whole world is sometimes seen, sometimes not seen. When you are sleeping, it is not there. When you are wakeful, it is there. When you are in the hall is present, but the other things are not there. When you are unconscious, the world is not there. When the world is there, the unconsciousness is not there. All these states, they are varying states. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. So it is neither Sat nor Asat. So such a thing, the whole existence is like that. It is neither Sat nor Asat because it is changeful. Without changefulness, there cannot be any existence. Changefulness is the very basis of existence. That is why we call this life as samsara. Samyak sarati iti samsara. We say samsara means samyak sarati. It is always drifting. And thinking that it is permanent, we hold on to so many things. We hold on to people, we hold on to money, we hold on to our possession, we hold on to our fame. So many things we are holding on. So to remind us, they have said all this is samsara. That means samyak sarati. That means it is all drifting. Never try to think that it is anything is permanent. Either your friend will die or you will die. Both cases, one will be missing. So mithya means sometimes it is appearing, sometimes it is not. It is changeful. The whole existence is like that. Everything. That is why the world is called mithya. So it doesn't mean that it is not existing. It is existing, but when you go into it, even scientifically you go into it, the gross things and all, what happens? Even if you don't go to the fullest extent of physics, when the quantum physics came, what happened? You are all smear of electrons, protons and all, you can say. Where is Dr. Nandwani and where is Tiwari? They are all electron, proton only. A smear of electron, proton only. And if you go farther into the quantum mechanics, then you are all probability wave. All of you are shredding your waves, dancing here and there. There are no grossness, no material, nothing. It's all probability wave. The modern physics. So the world we are not seeing because we don't have the microscopic vision. Our vision is very limited, fortunately. Otherwise, if we start seeing all electron, protons and all, will you be able to behave as we are doing now? It is a fact of science also. Suppose our auditory nerves, they can take only from 20 per second to 20,000 per second. Suppose it hears everything, not limited to this short span, then you will become mad because constantly air molecules are hitting your eardrum. You will hear always da 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 going on like puja pandal. Will you not become mad? So, by nature, because of impossibility, the nature has restricted our senses. We get only that restricted vision of the world. So it is mithya only. Because when you go into it, it's not there. If you look for a cause also, there is no cause. Because ultimate cause, you cannot find out. Everything is causality. But the ultimate truth has to be beyond causality by definition. So that is why it is called mithya. This is the meaning of mithya. Vivekananda used to use the word atasmin tat buddhi. Tasmin tat buddhi. Mithya was explained by atasmin tat buddhi. That means the things appear to be what they are not. Things appear to be what they are not. That is called mithya. Not that it is not existing. So Vedanta never says that the world is not existing. It says it is an appearance in the consciousness, in the Atma, in the Brahman. See, this is very important. That is why in the Upanishads they introduce right in the beginning, in Mundaka Upanishad, when he starts the message, Angiras, right in the beginning in Shloka 6, it's a great Shloka. You extend your imagination to think that these are written in prehistoric time. At least 10,000 years, if not, we cannot say this prehistoric means it can be anything, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, we cannot say. The civilization is, the record is not there when the civilization started and all these Upanishads were there. They are called Shruti because there was no writing. It was passed on from generation to generation by word of mouth and lighting the lamp in the disciples' heart. The main power is passed on by lighting the lamp, and the expression is through the words of mouth. So it is called Shruti. Now, in that age when there was perhaps no other civilization anywhere in the world, we don't know. Because they don't have the literature, we assume that they were not there. Our literature is still existing in the same language so that even now we can read the shlokas and understand them. This is something surprising. Because in about 100 years, 200 years also a language becomes stale. We have heard in our young days, Mao Zedong, whatever poems he had written, the modern Chinese youth, they do not understand because the language has undergone such change. But Sanskrit, which has been written, these are written in prehistoric times and we don't have any problem in understanding the meaning. So you can try to understand what is this amazing civilization. What is our heritage? There in the 6th verse, Yattad adreshyam agrashyam agotram avarnam achakshushrotram apanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tarabhyayam yat bhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. Generally in the Upanishads, right in the beginning they will say the ultimate truth and then they will come down in level and start from again an easy point of view. He says, Yattad adreshyam agrashyam agotram avarnam achakshushrotram tadapani padam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susushmam tadabhyayam yat bhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. Dhiraha paripashyanti. It's the last. That is those who are wise, the knowers. It is not singular. Not one person has said. Dhiraha. Those who know, if you know, you will also see the same thing. That is the idea. Dhiraha. All those who came to know the truth, the wise people, they paripashyanti. Paripashyanti means paritaha pashyanti. That means they see everywhere, all around. It is not, means not in their meditation only. Then they will not say paripashyanti. Then they will say what they say, see in their dhyana. Here, paripashyanti, they see everywhere. That is the truth They see everywhere. It cannot be missed anywhere at all. Actually, everywhere is appearing in that truth. So, what is that truth? They are saying. Yat tat adreshyam. Adreshyam means which cannot be seen. Seen means we have to extend to all the five indriyas. We have five sense organs. When we say it cannot be seen means it cannot be heard, it cannot be touched. All the jnanendriyas, the organs of, what do you call it, jnanendriya? The sensory organs will not be able to perceive it. It cannot be perceived by the senses is the meaning. Adresham means it cannot be perceived by the senses. Although literal meaning is it cannot be seen. Agrashyam, it cannot be grasped. That means it cannot be handled by any of the karmendriyas, the organs of action, by hand, by legs, by any of the organs of actions. It cannot be grasped or touched or anything. Adresham, agrahyam, agotram means it doesn't have a gotra. Gotra means lineage. We have gotra, that means we belong, there's a lineage connection. Here gotra means it is referring to the causality. That is, the truth does not have any causal chain that you can find out it has become like this. There is no cause, no gotra. You get it? There is no causal chain here. In anything in existence you can find a causal chain. That the radiation is coming, yes, hydrogen is getting converted into helium, and the extra energy is coming out as this radiation so the cause is hydrogen getting converted into helium. What is the further cause? Where from the sun was born, the Big Bang. Here there is a causal chain, that is the gotra of the light we are getting. In this case there is no gotra at all, no causality at all. Avarnam. Varna means color. The color makes us differentiate various things. All the objects have color. Color means it can be a little difference in refractive index also. That is within the color. So both are colorless, glass and air. Both are colorless. But we can identify here there is a glass because the refractive index is different. They have not mentioned refractive index. They have called it color. That is, we are able to decipher the objects because of the change in color. Without that the objects cannot be deciphered. So by negating it cannot be perceived by any of the senses, it cannot be handled by any of the organs of action, it doesn't have causality, it doesn't have any distinctive feature of color. It means it is vastu guna varjita in Sanskrit. That means it does not have any of the properties of an object. An object has to be perceived. If you cannot perceive the object, it is not an object. Suppose even if you say electron, protons, they are objects, but we are not perceiving. Well, we are not directly perceiving, but we are inferring, because they are leaving a trace in the cloud chamber or somewhere, from where you can conclude that there is a particle which has gone like this. So it is inferred. Most of the things are inferred. So it does not have any object properties. So you cannot call the truth an object. So forget about seeing God.